TF2 didn't start with a lot of story. There wasn't room for one. But as the updates got more ambitious, Valve went and developed some lore for it, as seen with the comics. But there are also some snippets of world building hidden in past major update. Remember when they contained stuff made by Valve? I wish I was there. Certain weapons are available in both the game and the lore. Eyelander, Rap Assassin, Diamondback, Gunslinger, Wrangler, just to name a few. However, I've noticed weapons that are in the lore, but aren't in the game, presumably to serve as filler or as Easter eggs. So here I am trying to bring them to life. Fun fact before we begin, the car battery on the Razorback is said to have 1,000 volts. For comparison, an electric chair uses 2 jolts of 1/4 the amount. How the spy did not become French fry is beyond me. Sniper versus spy update, ladies and gentlemen. Also in said update, a page from the Man Co catalog. Everyone knows about the Dead Ringer and the Cloak and Dagger. But what about the all-time classics such as Macrofilm Suit, Disguises Against Europe, and the Baccarat matchmaking system? Lovely stuff. But not much attention is given to the clearance section. Of the listings, one item caught my attention. The Flamethrower lighter. In the universe where heavy wins instead, the Pyro could have gotten this as a consolation prize. The stats for it could be extra survivability in exchange for it being weaker than other flamethrowers. Plus 20 max health on wearer, 4 health regen per sec on wearer, 25% increased secondary weapon ammo capacity. The downsides are that range and ammo is halved, there's no air blast, and the reloading is mandatory. Pyro becomes the Psycho, or the Combine Shotgunner if paired with the shotgun. Though chances are this will probably lead to Pyros overshadowing Scouts with all that boosts. If possible, using this in MVM should enable damage upgrades for the secondary and melee weapons. Except for the gas passer, that thing did enough. I think it's fair, considering how this thing would make Pyro a crippled clown when it comes to MVM. The option would at least make for a half-decent meme build. Next up, the Heavy can be seen using some kind of fence gate as an improvised shield in the Showdown comic. That's cool. An easy way to implement this is to have it be a reskin of the Fists of Steel, but that's no fun, so I made some stats. The counterpoint, a primary weapon for the Heavy is usable in medieval mode because why not? Plus 50 max health and faster weapon switch speed on wearer. Throw fence gates at your enemies to mildly obstruct them, but you can only deploy 2 at a time. They have 200 health and no Sasha. With this, you'll get more max health and faster hands. And the ability to throw fence gates at your enemy or the ground. They're renewable, they'll deal 75 damage to the enemy, and a fence gate will hopefully be deployed in front of them, mildly obstructing them. Most people have the idea of making this a shield item for the Heavy. I find that a bit boring, so instead here's an item that legitimizes the Fat Scout playstyle. Or allow the Heavy to roleplay as the engineer and build walls for your team. I got the deployable cover idea from PvZ Garden Warfare, specifically the dummy shield ability of the All-Star, but with a twist. In MVM, it should have a special upgrade. I call it Deceptive Beauty. The fences will gain a crude drawing of Medic, which causes all nearby robots to target the fence. When destroyed, the fences explode, dealing 75 damage. This weapon would also suck ass in MVM, but with this upgrade at least it will be funny to watch. Next up is robots. This might shock you, but robots were once Man Cody products. The engineer even has the blueprint for the Scout bot in his workshop. It was Scout's idea, so engineers being able to build robots is not that far off from the lore. This brings us to the publicity stunt. Replace your sentry with a compact manufacturing unit that costs 200 metal. It'll automatically consume material to make normal speed scout bots that'll hunt down enemies independently with their submachine guns. That might sound clunky. But we can reuse the gangster skeletons from Vineyard for this. Yes, I canonized the Madcap. Of course he'll need a backstory. I've decided to give him multiple origin stories because why not? Let's have one source claiming that he's one of the 3 antagonists of Finite Spaghetti. A dystopian Italian novel about a group of rebels fighting against zombie Mussolini, who has gained control of Italy by sneaking crushed bugs into the food supply. Another source claims that the Madcap is a member of Doctor Who's Rogues Gallery. Appearing in Madcaps of Argentina, the 2 Doctors, Arachnids in the UK, and Valeyard among us. Others claim that he is Scout's older brother who designed and voiced the evil foot soldiers in the Murder Drone anime. Anyway, the Madcap bots have 140 health, the same damage output as the SMG, and a 2-minute battery life. Code-wise, it's still a sentry, but instead of shooting bullets and rockets, it shoots reskinned skeletons that shoot bullets. Very weird, but this will allow the unit to be used with the Wrangler. So in an emergency, the Wrangler can activate a protective shield and set productions into overdrive. Should save you 3 seconds in production. Not to mention the MVM Sentry fire rate upgrade. In MVM, it can either get the heavy metal upgrade, which swaps out the Madcaps with the heavy bots, for more damage and longevity, or the suppressing fire upgrade, which gives the Madcaps explosive rounds, explosive headshot, but without the head, not as destructive, and inflicts slow instead of stun. The Sentry has a range of 1100 hammer units. The unit would theoretically be able to cover 36,000 hammer units, almost 33 times the Sentry's range. Of course, the Scout bots won't be as strong as the Sentry. You're trading concentrated area denial for softer area denial on a much larger scale. Of course, the downside is that your repair rate is halved, making it harder to help out fellow engineers, and your dispenser has ads on top of the metal counter. A purely cosmetic downside. I'm quite certain that most players would love to see TF2 ads on their dispensers. Imagine you're at 2 Fort, you walk out the spawn door, and you see an Emesis Blue ad on the dispenser. That would be so cool. The possibilities, I'd love to see people expand on this idea. Though I'm not sure how balanced this is. This thing is useless if the enemy has a sentry nest or sticks together like a team. But then again, you can inflate the number of bodies on the front line or cover great distances with this. Especially if you boost production with the Wrangler. It could still work. The Mac update gave us the comic a visual history, in which we can see 4 weapons exclusive to this comic. Ignoring the one that pissed on the moon, first up is the canonically accurate shovel. Plus 20% increase in random crit chance while active, and a 30% increase in fire damage resistance on wearer. The downsides are that the wearer will randomly burst into flames every 5 seconds. The chance is based on max crit chance, 33% less crit damage, and 25% less primary ammo capacity on wearer. I do not intend this one to be balanced. This thing will also be a straight downgrade in Uncle Dane's domain. Or maybe not. The fire damage resistance alone might be worth the trade. Assuming that the spontaneous combustion gets cancelled out. Let me know what you think of this one. Next up, the Carbon Taxman. Fires special oversized biodegradable shells instead of bullets. On hit, one enemy at a time is marked with an outline for allies to see through walls. 20% more damage against marked enemy. Shells are destroyed when deflected. And 75% lower ammo capacity. Valve wanted a hit-or-miss weapon for the heavy, so I think this would be a good start. I'm not sure what the specifics of the stats should be. Maybe someone else can work on that. And lastly, barbecue for the soldier. I'll call it the Barbecue Mini. It can be a reskin of the Conch, or Lunchbox for the soldier. It has 4 bars and each bar recharges in 15 seconds. Mouse 1 drops a plate of bacon, which costs 1 bar. Mouse 2 drops a plate of pork chop. Costs 2 bars, can heal yourself by picking up the plate after dropping it. The downsides are 50% less healing from medics and dispensers on wearer, and on death drop plates of bacon depending on the number of charges. I wanted the heavy to also have this, but seeing how heavy used to be able to heal by picking up the sandwich until Valve changed it, the Barbecue Mini might be overpowered in the hands of heavy. In the hands of soldiers, you can either become credit to team or heal yourself mid-air by throwing a plate in the direction you're flying towards, which might also be a bit too good, but let me know how good such a thing would be. The Wheel of Fate has a few filler cards that do nothing and cannot be used, so let's come up with something for them. The Fish Troll card. This card still does nothing because that would be funny. Imagine this card is picked, and all that happens is some rubbish is dropped on the point. Merasmus is confused, so much so that he forgets to show up until the point is capped again, giving the players a brief period of relief as the wizard did not show up again for the 12th time. The Decapitate card. Horseman music cue plays. Then off with everyone's head. Hell's Bells card deploys a dozen green skeletons, pack of 6 near each spawn room. Cherry Bomb card deploys the Bombinomicon, which will clear out the middle section with sticky bombs. For some reason, these bombs deal like 100 damage at most, almost as if it secretly wants them to live. And the Lucky You card. This card is rarer than the others, but if it's chosen, 1 minute will be subtracted from the timer for both teams. Normally that would be bad, but seeing how a Ghost Fort match is 7 minutes long, it's damn good. To prevent the map from breaking, the subtraction cannot reduce the remaining time below the 30-second mark. Last, but most certainly not least, the Catapult. This one is featured in an issue of the Lecture Valley, ignoring the dispenser costumes and whatever the hell Nutmeg is. We have this freaking thing, brought to you by Terry the Coward. He can't rocket jump like a real man can. So instead, he launches himself into his enemies with a catapult. That makes no sense. Perfect for TF2. This will be a PDA, usable in medieval mode, the Terrific Maneuver. Replace the teleporter entrance and exit with carpet and catapult. The carpet costs 100 metal. It boosts ally speed for 5 seconds when they walk over it. Have no cooldowns. The catapult costs 50 metal. It launches an ally that stepped on it over something like this wall. Usage won't result in fall damage as tested by Terry. The downsides are, does not enable sentry or dispenser for medieval mode. Carpet and catapult cannot be upgraded or recycled. Code-wise, the catapult is considered a teleporter exit. This makes it compatible with the Eureka effect, allowing you to teleport yourself to it, where you'll launch yourself into whatever you aimed the catapult at. Not sure how practical would this be, but it would be pretty funny. In MVM, instead of having a two-way teleporter. This PDA swaps that with a simple +2 second duration for the speed boost for the carpet. One scenario where this will shine is providing vertical mobility for the heavy. That alone might make this too good. But then again, that's a rather situational scenario. And that's all the lore-exclusive weapons that I can find, I hope. What do you think of my idea on how they could work in the game? Let me know in the comments.